All right, welcome to the weekend. It is Friday Eve. It's Friday Eve, and we're missing somebody. What? No, not Friday. It's Friday evening.
Oh, okay.
I sort of abbreviated it. It is Friday evening. I stand corrected. We're missing Thomas, but quite honestly, we have someone who's a little more better looking, in my opinion. In my opinion.
Some of us are really, really missing Thomas tonight.
Thomas is away with family. We do miss him today, so I hope he has a wonderful time. But in his place, we have the one, the only Mrs. R.A. Welcome, Mrs. R.A. I outed your name, by the way. A lot of people don't know your name is Jen.
Oh, no, please call me Jen, because Mrs. R.A. is super awkward. In fact, somebody in the real world came up to me and they said, "Hey, Mrs. R.A." And I responded to it like it was just normal. And she kind of laughed at me, and I thought, what's going on? And then she said, "Oh yeah, Jen, this, that, and the other thing." And I thought, I am so messed up that now I will respond to Mrs. R.A. So please call me Jen.
Call you Jen. We will do that. We're going to start with some questions for you because you're a special guest on the show. I think you're pretty special all the time.
Thanks.
Thanks. On the show, and some people ask some questions. If you have questions that you asked before and I didn't ask them before, answer them, or I didn't acknowledge you and say thank you for your questions or something like that, please ask them again in chat. But we want to ask a couple. Some people have asked a couple questions we want to put out to you to basically just dispel all the rumors and the myths that are plentiful.
That are swirling around you?
Yes. A couple questions. And so first of all, Mrs. R.A., how did we meet?
You really want me to tell like all the details of that story?
Well, I'm going to leave this entirely up to you for how much detail you want to share.
Okay. So we were, he lived in Utah, and I grew up in Idaho, and I had just graduated from college and moved down to Utah. And I was just working, and we happened to be in the same church. And so his sister, ironically, gave the lesson in the class that was at the end of church. And she said, "Guys, you just really, really need to be a little bit more social." And I am incredibly introverted. I don't like humans. And
people.
I like people. And I didn't want to date. Dating was such a hassle. I didn't want to deal with it. But I thought, okay, I'm going to go meet one person. And that was the most I could ask of myself. So I go to there's a mingle after the church is over, and everybody's in the gym, and they're all hanging out and eating and talking. And I look around the room, and I find the most attractive guy in the room. I was like, okay, if I'm only going to meet one person, right? I'm going to meet this guy. And I looked over, and I was like, okay, here I go. I'm like working myself up to do it. And right when I'm ready to go over there, all these girls just kind of like pack in and talk to him, and I was like, never mind. And I turn around and I look and I see, here's Scott. And I thought, who is also super attractive.
Who just won second place in a beauty contest.
Okay, but I hadn't seen you yet, right? So I went up and I said hi and whatever, and how you doing? And I just kind of checked the box and said, there, yes, I don't like people. I like my people, but I'm just not super outgoing. And so, anyway, I said hi, we chatted for a little bit, and he verified my name and my number. His position in church required that he have a list of everybody's names and numbers, which seems
convenient.
Super convenient. Yeah. So he verifies that, and I'm like, yeah, that's me. And then I get in my car and I go home, and I'm done with that. And he calls later that day. He's like, oh, I think I know where we've met. I think I know the connection that we have in the past. And I think he made it up. It was
a line. It was a line.
He was lying. But I was like, yeah, no, but that's cool. And then he asked me out on a date, and so that is how we met.
Yes, and I was a couple hours late to the date, but we won't. 3 hours. I was 3 hours late, but I had a good reason. And
because he was at the police station, guys. Why did flags not wave, alarms go off? Yeah, that was our first day.
I will say that the initial meet, I was blown away with Jen's beauty, and most
This is
awkwardly
news.
for me was that I had just stuffed an entire like jumbo sized cookie in my mouth. Like just one of those, like, I bet I could fit this whole cookie in my mouth moments. And I'm by myself. Right? I don't have anyone. I'm not proving this to anyone, but I like crammed the thing. You have to roll it in, when you have to sort of put it in one cheek, then the other, like chipmunk style. And so I've just got the whole thing, and I'm pretty chuffed because I've got this whole going on. And then I get this tap on the shoulder. And I turn around and there's Jen, and she's like extending her hand. She's like, "Hi." So I think I swallowed that cookie whole. Like you could like see it go down like in the cartoons.
Yeah, it was like a caramel cookie, and so he was like
so bad.
trying to work his way through it.
I just want to spit the thing out without anyone knowing. Could I just make the cookie disappear? And it was.
I left that part out of the story. I wanted to make you look a little more awesome in that moment.
You left some other parts out as well. It makes me look a lot better. But yes, that's how we met. Next question: how did you decide to homeschool? Let's move on from my
you're turning red there, Scott.
It was so bad.
I can't even see chat. I don't know if everybody is laughing or if they've just all bailed on us. I have no idea.
Let me grab. Let me grab. How about you explain the homeschool while I grab you another iPad that you can see the questions on?
Explain homeschool?
The question is, how do you decide to homeschool?
Oh, okay.
So hold tight. You talk.
I talk.
I'm just going to leave. The whole podcast is in your hands. So
right.
What could go wrong?
So we're prepping for this, and I was like, I need like a minute by minute outline. Tell me what it is that we're going to be doing here, please. And he said, "Oh, it'll be fine. You're just going to talk. I'm just going to talk. It'll be no problem. I'll guide you the whole way. I'll hold your hand." No, 3 minutes in, he fails. Okay, so here's the thing. We decided to homeschool when public school just really stopped working for us. The testing that was going on was a lot. There was just tons and tons of testing, and I felt like, when are they learning if they're being tested the whole time? And I was spending a lot of time in and out of the office and working with my kids on different things. And at the end of the school year, I was young at this point, right? So I had energy, and I had planned this big carnival. And so it was big. It was taking up a whole field, and we had all these different places, and my friends had helped me put it together, and they were all amazing. They were baked goods and dart throwing, whatever. It was awesome. And so we're there, and I'm totally stressed out, just realizing that I'm not a party planner, but we're just going to get this done. And oh, thank you. Now I can see your comments. Squirrel. Oh, and so my second child, sorry, English people, my second child came, and he handed me this slip of paper that said, "This is my teacher for the next year." And I looked at that paper and I thought, are you serious right now? I have just finished up a semester of so much anguish and frustration and time, keeping my kids out of nap time and just neglecting everybody and feeling like a failure on all fronts. And then he gets that teacher. And I thought, I can fight this. I have fought these battles before. I will continue fighting for my kids, but I just really felt like, if I'm going to put all of my heart and soul into something, I am just sick of it being fighting. I'm sick of trying to stop something bad. I want to put all of that energy into creating something really good. And so that was the impetus for me to say, that's it. I'm never planning another big carnival thing, and we're done with public school. All just in one day. Done. Figured out my life.
Okay, now the question everyone's asking is, what does impetus mean?
They're not asking that.
She uses big words. She really does. She's really smart. I married up. So that's how homeschooling started. Out of a little bit of frustration, a little bit of desperation, and a lot of concern for the kids and making sure they got exactly what was right for them. And I can tell you, Mrs. R.A., Jen is an amazing, amazing mom and amazing homeschooler.
Thank you. It has really changed from that moment when we first started, where I felt like, this just isn't working. Now it's just become something that's like, wow, how can we take it to that next level? Awesome. What can we do that's going to be even more perfect for this child's education or that child's experience or whatever? So Samantha M., I've seriously been considering it, Mrs. R.A. My little one is in first grade, and I've been informing myself more and more. You know what, Samantha? That is brilliant. I really informed myself for years and years. We did homeschooling every single summer because I just had that hunger and that need inside of me to make sure that all the most important things are being taught. And I just didn't have it in me to make the jump for what was that, 7 years? It was a lot of years that I just homeschooled in the summer before we finally hit that point where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
But what she's doing now is so much work, and at the same time, it's so rewarding.
But it's fun. I like it. I like this kind of work. I found that I'm very rebellious. I don't want people to tell me what to do, but I like to do my own thing.
The cool thing is homeschool is really lets you teach the way you want. There's a lot of latitude. You're not just taking the place of the teacher, giving the assignment the teacher would give. There's so many different ways you can teach that really you can make it fun for both the teacher and the students. And Jen does a great job with that.
That was key. I was like, I don't want to be bored my whole life, so it had to be fun for me.
Here's one. Frenchie Mom says, will you write a recovery-headed cookbook? Now, this goes along with another question, okay, that I frequently, when we're working through lunch, right, when Court doesn't give us a break, you'll say, hey, you want something to eat? And you'll bring in a salad, and I like to show off the salad. So we've had some requests for some of your salad recipes.
They're not mine. I don't make up any of my recipes. Most of those salad recipes I get from Laura Fuentes, and it's just Momables is how I first found her, like Lunchables, but Momables. And she has this whole website filled with lots of different, because we were doing a clean 30 or something like that, and that's how I found her. But I really like her salads. They're very, very flavorful. And when you look at her recipes, she's like, okay, now put in 3 tablespoons of oregano. I'm like, tablespoons? That's a lot. So she's really upped my flavor game. It's a lot yummier since I've started doing her stuff.
How interested are you in true crime, metal detecting, and any hobbies that I enjoy?
Okay, I love this question because really what I feel like she's asking is, how did you guys get together? You are so black and white, so different from each other. True. Yes, we are very different. I actually really like true crime. When we first started this, Scott and I had been watching Daryl Brooks every day, just Scott and I. And he was painting at the time, but like painting the inside of our house. And as we listened to it every day, it was really interesting that he was very fascinated with the lawyer side of it, that he was interested to see, well, what kind of objections are they going to have? And why are they doing it this way? And I mean, Daryl Brooks, it was a next level crazy, right? Yeah. But I was always really interested in the psychology of it, that I thought, what is wrong with this man? Like, fundamentally, what happened to this poor, terrible human being? And so it was interesting that as we were able to talk back and forth, we really did enjoy doing true crime together. I don't like some of the court cases. Way to go, Mary Kay. There's a lot of the court cases that I will look at and say, I'm just really not interested in that. And then other ones that have more of a psychological aspect to it, or in this case, the one that he's following right now, a strong freedom aspect to it, that I'm interested in those kind of things. So it just depends when it comes to true crime. When it comes to his other hobbies, Scott is really, really good at having fun. He just, wherever he is, he will just make things fun. And I don't really like having fun. And so we don't intersect.
We have fun differently. We have fun differently. So I took you on a date. It was in the fall. It was in early winter, I think. I took you on a date. We went ice fishing, which is a fun activity. We lasted about 10 minutes, and I knew that if I didn't leave right then, and I mean right then, it would be the last time I saw her. And I realized there was a line that I crossed there, and she's never been fishing with me since.
I learned my lesson. Well, okay, so here's the thing. Up until that point, Scott was like the catch, right? All of these girls were going after him, and I was like, he's a good guy. I like him. But I wasn't chasing him. And so all of these girls would go up, they'd go fishing with him. They'd like hike for miles to go fishing with him. And I thought, that sounds terrible. I don't want to do that. So we did it. I think we did it once. And I was like, all right, well, got to try everything once. I'm done with that. And I didn't try that anymore. So yeah, I don't know why. Scott, why did you keep dating me when I was like not interested in any of your stuff?
I dated her even though she dipped her fries at Wendy's in her Frosty, which I thought was appalling. I like fries and Frosties, but the ne'er the twain shall meet. Yeah, it was. She was intriguing. She was different. She was very smart, very witty, fun to be around. Just it was, and very different. Um,
I was different.
and in a good way. It was intriguing. It was wonderful. And every day since then, it's just been awesome. Michelle Johnson says, Mrs. Recovery Addict, what are the 3 meals you make with mushrooms?
Okay, this finally. I'm sorry. This finally happened that I wasn't trying to hide the mushrooms. I didn't even know he didn't like mushrooms.
You hid the
But
mushroom.
I didn't know what was going on there. But I showed him the mushroom pack. I was like, see this? See how this is in our fridge every week? This is mushrooms. This is what I use in our meal. And then I showed him the meal that we eat it in. And I think his response was, oh, I couldn't see them because something else in it was slimy. I was like, wow. 3 stars. That's awesome.
It was like tortellini. It had tortellini and like sausage and stuff. And the color blends in with the sausage, but the texture blends in with the tortellini. And between the two, I was eating it. And I liked it.
That meal, that is a Laura Fuentes meal. It's called Italian tortellini something or other. Crockpot something. I don't know.
I forgot there was a second part of the hobbies question that I was supposed to ask you. What hobbies do you enjoy?
Yeah, this is one of those questions that I had to fill out a lot, like trying to get into college and stuff like that. And I would do just amazing on every aspect of it up to then. I have 4.0 GPA. I'm in Honor Society. I'm in Natural Helpers. I'm in all these different things. I am amazing. And then they say, what are your hobbies? And I think, what do you think? I have time for hobbies? Did you see the rest of my resume? I thought, no, I don't have hobbies. I like to plan things. I like to read and to learn. I mean, I really love to learn. That's fun for me. But that's why I say I don't really like having fun. I don't do what a lot of other people do for fun. Sorry.
When Mrs. R.A. says she likes to read, she reads differently than anyone else I've ever seen read.
Backward.
It may look different to you because if you watch her read, it looks like she's fanning herself with the pages because they're turning so fast.
Whatever.
She reads so fast. She tears through books. And usually she'll have like 3 or 4 that she's reading. She'll have one for each room in the house. And when she's in that room, she just picks up right where she left off. And like no refresher, no let me flip back, where was I, what was happening here. She can instantly just switch to that other book and pick it up, and she can go from a textbook to a historical novel, and just in a heartbeat. It's amazing to watch.
That's because I have a really short attention span. I just am done with that book. New room.
I'm going to change the view real quick, so don't worry. There we go. Hey, we're bigger now.
Hi.
Nice to see you. Grew up. You might have to scoot over or turn the computer a little bit because it's a little.
Nope, this way.
There we go.
Hold, please.
Okay, looks great. All right. Cachette says, does Mrs. R.A. have any single friends looking for a husband here?
Nope. All my friends are married to me.
My best friend married her, so I'm good.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, I would say Jen. She doesn't have a lot of like hobbies. Like, I mean, I used to stamp collect. I have rock collections that are epic, that I still lug around with me, that I have no idea what any of the rocks are. I've just picked them up over the years and I can't part with them. So I have all these halfway hobbies. Jen does not, but what Jen does, she does wholeheartedly, and she just dives into, and it's amazing. YouTube, for instance, you have a YouTube channel.
Yeah. Originally, actually, this was Scott's thing. He had a YouTube channel and he was doing really well. He had like 700 subscribers on it. And it was on metal detecting, and he was just doing really well. And he listened to Steve Cannell. Is that right?
Sean Cannell.
Sean Cannell. And we were going somewhere. We were going on a trip somewhere. And he said, hey, can you kind of listen to this and sort of take notes on it? Or he wanted me to listen to it with him. And I took notes because that's how I lock things in my mind. And so
I was driving and you were taking notes.
Yes. Yeah. And then we reviewed it afterward. And I looked at that and I was like, I could do that. Because he broke it down into such simple things. He's like, do you have anything that you know a lot about that you're really excited about, that you could look back at yourself 3 years ago and the questions you had? Can you make videos answering those questions? I was like, yeah, I'm super old. I can totally look back 3 years and do this. So, hey, Diet Coke Mama. So yeah, that's, I did it. I started off and I was like, okay, let's compete. Let's see the first one to 1,000 wins. And he really, really kicked my trash.
The contest was her idea, but she was growing fast, and then Daryl Brooks happened, and boom. So it was.
Yeah.
It was
Never
crazy.
been happier to lose a competition. That was awesome.
Fall, good to see you here, my friend. It's been a while. Good to see you're still doing well. All right, let's see. I'm
Ask me
missing.
a question about you. I'm tired of talking about me.
You know, you have to ask questions about me.
No, like something that I could answer that you wouldn't be willing. I don't know if there is anything. You're so willing to share.
Okay. Let's see. Let me find a question. So you want me to ask you a question about me that I wouldn't normally answer? I'm filtering these already. I don't know how to do this. Okay, so let's see so what I guess what we're hearing is, do any of you have questions about me that you'd like Mrs. RA to answer?
Right.
Okay. I smell what you're stepping in. I got it now.
Yep. Trying to clean that up.
Okay. I'm scrolling. I have to read. We have to read a little bit here.
I know. I'm trying to look. It's hard for me to read chat because I have to look way down to see it.
Okay, here's one right here from Thal.
Thal? I can't think of anything. I've always been like brutally honest with you. Just straight up, I don't like fishing. Let's not do that.
Yeah, it showed on her face. If she doesn't like it, she'll tell you. So
yeah, even if I don't say it with my words, you'll know. Let me think. Somebody asked something about how am I handling your success, or how's our marriage impacted by your success? Something like that. Killing it. I don't remember. I probably shouldn't have brought it up because the answer is I don't know. Like it seems like it doesn't change anything. That you're still here to open cans, and if there's a police officer shows up on our front porch, I go get you, and
because these things happen.
I know. The normal things, cans
That's what
and cops.
That's what you went to, cans of cops.
Yeah, I don't know that it's made a really big difference. I will say that going into starting a business, any business, and we have started a lot of businesses.
We have failed. Not just like, oh, that didn't go as well as we'd hoped. We have full on fell on our face, failed.
Dumpster fire. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I have a list about a page long of email addresses from businesses we've tried to start and tried to run, and just no good.
Yeah. But honestly, as we look back, there really are a lot of the things that we failed at. We picked up skills that you're using now. So anyway, so I knew going into this that when you first start a business, it requires just vast amounts of time and effort. And so I sort of mentally said, once it started taking off and it became something I thought could actually be viable, I told myself 6 months. I'm just really not going to see Scott for 6 months, and I will be just the giver in the relationship. I'm just going to float it for 6 months. And then after that, I'm going to reassess and determine if we need to make adjustments so that our family is in balance with the time and the emotional commitments of running this particular business.
Because
Scott, it's been 6 months. Time to talk.
It's been 11 months.
No way.
It has. I did the math.
Scott, you're amazing. That's awesome.
It was actually a challenge because I worked in a job that allowed me to work from home. Literally, I worked for a company on the other side of the nation, and I got to stay here in North Carolina, and I was available, and it was a job where I had such freedom. I could do a lot of things, and then this job was actually more demanding of my time, like minute to minute. In a big way. So it took my availability both for Jen and for the kids. And suddenly it said, now we've got these blocks of times where I'm not available. And it was almost like going back to working outside the home. So that was an adjustment for sure. But
But the huge difference there was that you did not like your job before. And when you started doing this, it was just, you have been on fire every single day. Even, I mean, I really like a lot of what you do. I like following you online. I think it's fascinating. But there are some, like the Cavalcante thing, I thought, I gotta go to bed. I'm just so tired. I can't do this anymore. And you just kept going and going and going. Your tenacity at this job, there's no way you could be this dedicated to it if you didn't really, really love it. And that to me, that's worth a lot. It's worth a lot of hassle. It's worth a lot of effort and struggle if you can actually really love your job. That's really valuable.
I will say I thought I loved my last job. I liked it. Okay. I liked work more. I liked the people I was working with than the actual what I was doing, the nitty gritty day-to-day tasks. The people were awesome, and I still have some great friends from those connections. But I had no idea that you could love what you do for work like I do now.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a possibility, and it's been amazing that way. So Karen says, I just tried the pickles you talk about, and I love them. So that goes to the next question. Mrs. R.A., how do you feel about pickles, specifically spicy bourbon pickles?
Okay, well, it probably will come as a surprise to nobody here that I'm just going to tell you the truth. Those are gross. Like, what is wrong with you people? Those are so yucky. I really like dill pickles, but I can't. And you know what? Okay, full confession, I've never eaten them. I can't get past the smell. Like, I open the jar and I'm just gagging. I just think, oh, I need Listerine after that. No, it's so bad. And I can't. No, there's something wrong with you guys. I will find other reasons to like you.
Red Pen says, is this YouTube channel really supporting the family now? Was this an experiment?
Oh, yeah.
It was an experiment, and it was an experiment at a time of desperation. I mean, I don't know if we can adequately paint the picture. We were blessed financially previously to be able to own our home. So we're in this home, but we were at the point where we would have to sell the home. It was like, we can't, there's no money left. The numbers are gone. They've dwindled down. It was to the point where, I would either have to do something I really didn't like doing for work, which I did not want to do, or we were gonna have to say, well, let's sell, let's cash in our chips and try to start over somewhere else where we don't.
But that really wasn't an option either. Like, the market isn't such that we could have done that. We were really, really stuck. That it was, I mean, we really didn't have any idea what was going to work, other than a feeling that something would. So that we were on faith. Don't ask that question. I fail this question at the doctor's office all the time.
We have 6 children. The oldest one is in his low 20s. The youngest one is 8. And
they're in there.
5 boys, 1 girl. The girl is 10, 11, 12. Tell me if I'm right. I need a thumbs up.
No, I'm just saying that's more information than I would share.
Okay. I don't know how old she is. But so I was guessing. But that's it. Let's see. The follow-up another question here. It's a big one. Recovery addict. Mrs. R.A. would say that R.A. success is formed on his mountain of failures and repeated attempts. From the partner's position, R.A., you're not allowed to answer.
But you are allowed to.
Would you say that R.A.'s success is formed on his mountain of failures and repeated attempts?
Yeah, 100%. I do think so, because so much of what he did coming up to this place was recognizing what he's really, really good at, and then also seeing where he needed help. And I think so much of what works in this channel is that he is a jack of all trades. He is interested in everything. And it is that excitement and that engagement in life in general that has really brought him to a place where he can bring a lot to whatever trial comes up. And also his ability to connect with people. I don't know that his failures really taught him. I don't know. You have to answer that. I don't think your failures taught you to connect with people. I think that that's something that you've always just been really gifted at. But that is something that you use a lot on this job.
Yeah, I'll say in the last 5 years, and maybe a little bit before, but it was probably 10 years ago, I tried to start a business using video, where I would try to film people and film their life story.
Honey, we're older than that. It was like 20 years.
I was hoping it wasn't that long. I tried to set up a company, and we called it Looking Back Video. Okay, because we're looking back at somebody's life, and I'd sit down and I'd interview them and record this video and basically tell their life story. And then I'd scan in pictures and put this together, and it was something they could give their kids. I sold, let's see, how many of those did I sell? Zero, because the cost was the amount of time that went into it was weeks and weeks of work. And what the client saw was, an hour of an interview. And so they don't want to pay the thousands of dollars that it's worth to do it. And so I ended up doing my demo ones, which I wanted to do for experience and for some families. And then I said, I can't, there's no customers. I can't sell this. The people that want this can't pay for it. And I can't do this if I can't work for nothing. And so that business failed, but it taught me some things. It taught me a little bit about equipment, taught me a little bit about cameras. It taught me a little bit about interviewing people and sort of interacting that way. And so I took that and I moved forward. I had a business where I flipped things. I sold them on Amazon, right? I'd go to
That's just actually profitable. Like, not enough to live on, but you did make money doing that.
Yeah. Enough to pay taxes, and that's about it. But
and the bride paid for the
I'd go to secondhand stores and buy books, like college textbooks, and turn around and sell them used on Amazon. And I'd buy them for $4 and sell them for $75. And it was great money when you could find a book, but it was very competitive and you had to spend a lot of time doing it. But in that business, I picked up the ability to handle customers that were upset, because your rating on Amazon is key. I mean, if you have a 3-star rating, no one's going to buy from you. And so I'm still a seller on Amazon today, and I have a 5-star rating, and it's almost unheard of. But the way I manage my customers, how I interact with them, taught me how to find a win in a situation that starts out with a loss, right? And how it's important to listen to people, make sure they're heard, and make things right, honestly, when I'm on the hook to give them the experience or the expectation they wanted. And so
Which is great skill, and you use that a lot today, that whenever there are haters that come at you, I tend to go mama bear on them, and Scott is always like, well, I can see it from their side, and let me see, how can I make this a better experience for you, and how can I help you not hate me? He's good at that.
Sometimes I have to really bite my tongue and be nice when people really come at you. And I found that being nice to people who are mean usually fixes the problem. And you can probably find some common ground in there and end up, progressing together a little bit, or at least stopping the argument.
Yeah, but you say that, but that is so hard to do for like the rest of humanity. We all really struggle to be nice to somebody when they're being mean to me. And I struggle with this, actually, as I have watched Scott's channel grow and grow and grow, and watched the comments that come in, most of which are just really amazing and supportive and lovely, but some of which are nasty. And I look at that and I just think, I don't want my channel to grow. I mean, that sounds so dumb, but I see what happens when you get bigger and bigger, and I just think, no, if I can help one person out there, it's worth it. And I don't want to put up with, I'm not going to be nice to people when they're mean to me. I'm like, ooh, no, them's fighting words.
Don't make her mad. No, I've learned not to make her mad.
This is a wise counsel.
Kelly P says, Mrs. RA, how do you feel about the impromptu lives, the manhunts, and the car chases?
Yeah. Do you know what, Kelly? I love them. I love him because something, I don't know, you guys get to see a little bit of it that you get to see when he first gets on and he's excited and he wants to tell you about it. But you guys don't get to see that moment when he like pops up and he says, this is happening. This is live. I'm so excited. I gotta go. And I'm like, you're wearing a green shirt. You will disappear into a courthouse. And he runs up and he changes his shirt. And he's just super excited about it.
This morning. I was wearing a green shirt this morning.
It's so much fun to watch my best friend do something he loves. I love it. I love that. And frankly, I need a lot more sleep than Scott needs. And so he'll just go do his thing and I just go to bed. And we're all happy.
Okay, this one goes a little bit deeper. It's a little more serious.
I'll let you take it.
My channel name is Recovery Addict, and I share a little bit on my channel about my addiction with computer gaming. Not gambling, but playing computer games. Are you actually recovering? I would say yes, but it's still something that I have to be mindful of. I can get sucked into a computer game on a phone pretty quickly. I set some boundaries for myself, but I often find myself trying to slip back into it. It's so easy to pick up a phone and play a game. But
This
is
has
there
helped
anything
with that
you'd want to
too.
talk about my recovery from that?
I'm sorry I talked over. Did you ask me a question?
Is there anything you'd want to mention about my recovery from computer gaming? You want to? I've told them I just about lost everything.
Yeah, no, I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, that's it. So yes,
Done. That's all that happened.
Yeah, not a happy time. Not a happy time, but I'm grateful she stuck with me. All right. Let's see. More questions. Okay, this is funny. Ivan says, Mrs. Ray, would you bury evidence if recovery addict was charged with a felony? Ivan, funny, true story. I literally, Ivan's calling in on the phone. I'm going to pick you up here in just a second.
Call from
Mr. Ivan.
Okay.
Oops, your caller just hung
Ivan.
up. Goodbye.
Oh, okay. He hung up. I tried to pick it up. It said you hung up. Oh, where's Mrs. R.A.? She disappeared. I think the call may have disconnected Mrs. R.A. because the call rings on the other one too. Let's see. Let me bring Ivan on right now.
Mr. Ivan.
To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
Ivan, I think you broke our system. No, just kidding. I think
I'm sorry.
You're good. I think the call coming in was the it came across the iPad that she's filming on, so it cut out the feed. But she'll be back in just a second. What were you saying?
I just wanted to know if A, would she bury evidence, and B, if there's a knock on the door and it's the federal government, does she alert you or let them in? And I'll hang up. I'll hang up and listen.
Awesome, Ivan. Thanks. Here, this is funny, true story. We're waiting for Mrs. R.A.'s camera to come back, and I have nothing. Mrs. R.A., come get tech help. Okay, so as I was making the placeholder, the thumbnail for this video, I put a stick figure picture of a girl holding a shovel over her shoulder because I thought it was funny. I told my wife, did you lose your feed? I guess. Can you restart it? You'll pop back in. You bring it here. I'll restart it. I'll remove you from the stream for just a second. Okay. I literally had a picture instead of Thomas. I had replaced her with a stick figure girl holding a shovel because I said, because you'd help me bury a body if I needed to. So I like to think that I could count on her to lift the light end of the body if we had to move one. Let's see. We'll get her take on that when she comes back. All right. Does she like other pickles? She does buy other pickles. Okay. Let's see. We need right here. Nope. That's Dr. G's. You don't want to be in his live stream. Hang on. Man.
I'll answer the question. What is it?
Okay. It was would you bury a body?
Would I bury a body? Frankly, it would probably already be buried by the time he found out about it.
Okay, I have to type something here.
Okay, this is how it works in our relationship. I can talk a lot, but when it comes to tech, I don't know what I'm doing. I tried to get back in, and I think it actually made it worse. We have a 404 error. And as I was coming out to hand this iPad to him, I've got my second oldest son who just loves computers and stuff. He's like, I can help you. And I showed him the thing. He was like, you better go get dad. It's like, I don't know what you did here. Okay. Are there other questions I can answer or? I'm trying to think what I could do to fill this dead air here. Thomas, where are you? Oh, what do you guys want to know about Scott? Let's think. Maybe some things that you don't know about him, that he wakes up every day at 5:30 to take our child and another kid in the neighborhood to a class, and then he comes back. He's home by about 7:30. That's every day.
I get up early. I really do. Okay, I think we've restored the feed. She's going to go back to her impromptu studio, and we'll get her back here in just a second. So let's see. Looking for more questions. How old are you both? I am a year older than her, and I think I'm 45. I stopped counting a while ago because once you hit like 26 and you can rent a car on your own, there's really nothing to look forward to until you get a senior citizens discount. So in between 26 and like 60, it's just nothing there. So we're about in the 45 range. Let's see. Boom. Hey, you're back. Can you hear me?
Oh, and I'm off again. Darn.
There you go. How old are you?
Halfway to 90.
There you go. So I'm 46. She's 45. Just sorry, I have pickle breath. Probably.
Not that I know of.
All right. Let's see if there's anything else. Can you see any questions on your side? Jen, please talk about Scott purchasing your current home and the kitchen.
Okay. So here's how that happened. We were moving across the country, and there's just a lot that goes into that. There's a lot. You've got to get your house cleaned and listed, and we're trying to find a job that will allow us to do this, and the kids have never moved before, and I've never even rearranged my furniture before, so I don't know how to do this, and it's just a big thing. And so we got to the point where it was time to go look at houses. We narrowed it down to North Carolina. We picked out 5 or 6 houses that we might be interested in. And I just really felt like I can't leave the kids because I pretty much shattered them emotionally by announcing that we're going to be doing this move. And I just didn't feel like I could do that to them. So I thought, well, as long as you go and you film it, you live stream it for me, then, or what do they call that? FaceTime?
It was like FaceTime.
Yeah. So yeah, I said, as long as you do that and I can see the actual house, then we should be fine and it'll be peachy. So he gets in the plane and he goes over and we are in contact the whole time. And then he gets here and he drives around because the agent was like, I'm not available that first day you're there. I thought, excellent customer service. So anyway, he drives around and looks at all of the houses that were on our list.
9.
Yeah. Were there that many?
8 of the 9 were awful.
It was the most discouraging experience ever. Like, it wasn't even the house. He would just drive up to the neighborhood and say, oh, no. And so
I don't even feel safe to get out of my car in this area, or
yeah.
I
this is not something that we've grown up with.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Yeah, it was terrible. So then he comes and he gets to this house, and I didn't want this house originally because A, the kitchen was horrible. Thank you. But B, there's so much glass in this house. Like, it was built in 1950. You can't really tell because this is our updated portion of our house, but the rest of the house is really old. And so we have these French doors between like all of the rooms. French doors, I swear. And they're all glass paned. And I looked at our kids and I thought, no way are we getting through this. They're going to break that. They're going to break themselves. We can't do it. So I had just said, no, I don't want that house. But he walked through it and showed it on the video. And I just knew as I was looking at it, I was like, that's the house. But oh my gosh, I hate the kitchen. I really, really hate the kitchen. And it was
the kitchen was awful. It was from the 1950s. It was back then. It was cool, but it had not changed one bit since then.
The same milk was in the fridge. I swear, it was so bad. And like, everything's different from the 1950s to now. Like, they talk about things getting bigger. That's not a joke. My cookie sheets would fit nowhere. They don't fit in those old cupboards. And like, nothing fit anywhere. My pans, the stove was crazy. The stove was a part of this huge counter-length long metal contraption torture chamber thing. And you had to push buttons in to make it turn on. But the buttons aren't labeled. And so you're not, I mean, I'm assuming left probably means
not all the buttons worked.
No, it was almost like a combination, push, 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 and I hope that turns on. And then not only the stove got hot, but the whole thing was this metal contraption, so the whole counter is hot. I'm like, this is a nightmare. I hate it. Nothing fits. It was dark. It was, the whole ceiling was so low because they were like afraid of high ceilings. And so at this gorgeous tall ceiling they could have had, and instead they crunched it down low. Oh, it was awful. It was so bad. Luckily, our child like exploded it within a month of being here. I thought I'm done. I quit. But that ended up being way better because we got a new kitchen. But oh my goodness, at the time I just thought, okay, tap out. I quit.
Will you make a one-time exception for non-registered nurses in your Airbnb?
AJ, we're getting so close to having that thing done. I'm just really excited. And then we're just going to list it and it's going to go to whoever. It's just going to be open. Good evening, Babs. Awesome. Love that you showed up with your passionate spirit. You spread joy. Yeah, I try really, really hard to stay calm on most subjects, and I don't do very well. Mary Kay, wow, thank you.
You're getting
sweet.
Roses, apparently. That is awesome.
Sound like I need this.
Thank you so much. Let's see. I want to see if we had any other questions that we needed to talk about here. I really, StreamYard is great at a lot of things, but it's not good at helping me find questions. It's so hard to see them. I have to look down instead of looking at the camera, which is frustrating. Let's see. It was about the third day of Brooke's trial. Yeah, that's when I started, Debbie. You were day one. you were one of the 13. You've been here ever since. It's wonderful. Let's see. Carrie says, I'd love you to do a podcast sometime of the full story of what was happening that led you to starting this podcast. Carrie, this is Thomas. This is Weather Watch that brought this up, and I'm so glad he did. It's awesome. We'll have to do that with Thomas here, but yeah, we'll have to tell that story. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Megan says, so Mrs. RA inspires me to be a better mom regularly, but now I realize I need to be a better wife.
Oh no, Megan, I'm sure you're amazing. As
Mrs. RA says on her channel, you're doing better than you think you are.
You really are. I think our community, our culture works so hard to convince us that everything we try is just not enough. And no matter what we do, it's just not to the level of acceptable. So it kind of doesn't matter unless you're, Letitia Stout. She's not okay. But if you're anything above that, you're probably just fine.
Let's see here. Getting caught up on everything, trying to do 3 things at once. Just one second.
I know. Somebody said they asked one earlier about homeschooling, but I don't know where that went. So sorry.
Michelle Johnson has a question here on screen for you.
Mrs. Recovery Addict, do you think Recovery Addict needs to get his law degree seriously? Okay, so he's actually been bringing this up for a couple days. I don't usually talk this much again. I think he could. I think there's always something that we want to reach for, right? We want to grow into and stretch and try new things. I don't know if we're actually going to end up going that direction, but I think if Scott does decide that that's something he wants to pursue, he could do really, really well in Virginia, where you don't have to go to school for it, because he does not like school. But he's really smart, and you know that Catch Me If You Can guy? He did that. So Scott, we got a future.
Yeah, I can fake it till I make it.
No, he actually did it. He took the test and actually got his law degree. He faked everything else, but that one he actually did it.
I honestly, I think I could. I don't think I could just sit down and pass the bar exam, but I do have the ability to cram a lot of knowledge in my head for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And I have the ability to ingest a lot of knowledge very quickly.
Yeah. And more than that, you think very, sorry, I interrupted you. You want to finish that?
No, you're good.
Okay. You think very spatially, right? With connections. So Scott used to be, I can't remember what it was called. I can't remember. It was a position in a government group. And one of the things that he needed to do was be able to determine whether or not things were according to Robert's Rules of Order. So
the ethics committee chairman for a political party.
Yes. So he bought Robert's Rules of Order. Yeah, don't tell which one. It's not mine. But I helped him anyway because I love him. So he bought this book, Robert's Rules of Order, and we just went through it. And every time there was a question, I was like, can you do this? Is this a logical thing? We would go through and he would just say, well, I could defend it from this position if we wanted to be on that side of it. And if you wanted to come from this angle, I would actually use this defense over here to try to do it. And he kind of saw both sides of it and how you could use logic and even the law, which in this case, it was just the rules of order. But if you guys have seen that, it's huge. There's a lot in it. He's just really good at thinking in ways that allow lots of connections between ideas and allow him to see things from all the angles and then anticipate the other side so that he can then work around that too, which is a very lawyer-esque thing to do.
Did you want to mention to make any comments about when I was playing World of Warcraft?
Yeah, sucked rocks. Glad we're done with that.
There you go. 7. That's about as far as we're going in that one, I think. Question from Debbie from Creative Bee. Do you both, Recover Addict and Mrs. Ray, know how cute you are to each other?
Like, how do you answer that? Yes, Creative Bee. I think we're absolutely adorable.
I can see it in Jen. Let's put it that way. I can see Jen's cuteness.
Sorry, you totally made me spill all over myself. Creative Bee, you're the one who made that the thing that's
Right here.
Yeah, that one. That is so awesome. I love when people use their creativity and their talents to be able to make things that are good and uplift other people. And that's just awesome. I love that. Thanks, Creative Bee.
Thank you very much.
I really did spill all over myself.
Is there any other? How long have we been married?
What year is it?
Because we got married in 2000, so we're like, what year is it?
23.
23 years.
Yep.
Let's see. Suzanne says, I'm following you all around tonight. That's awesome. I loved seeing you over there. I love seeing people over in other places when we pop up. I thought you were talking to me, but you were talking to Sixfold. Maybe you were, I think you were over there too. Any other questions before we have a couple news stories I was going to just share that were sort of husband and wife related.
Okay, hang on one second. I don't know why, but I seem to be ahead of you in chat. Then asks, for Jen, do you have any goals, plans, or dreams for when the littlest RA graduates homeschool? I'm thinking you're asking goals for myself or goals for the littlest? Probably goals for myself. So here's what I've learned, then. I don't know how to say this. No, I don't. And it's not because I don't have goals and dreams, because I absolutely want to accomplish good things. I have goals for my YouTube channel. I really want to be able to help moms feel confident in every phase of motherhood. And I come at that through homeschooling, but it's just for all moms everywhere. And I really do have goals and dreams, but what I've learned from watching other moms is that when they start setting up and, hey, this is what I'm going to do when my kids graduate, they discover that they need to be doing something else. That their kids' needs continue being so intense, but different than they anticipated, that the vision that they had for themselves for saying, hey, when they graduate, I'm going to accomplish this, it kind of becomes a moot point because they're really, really needed in this other place doing this other thing that they had never planned on before. And they're really, really good at it because of how they've spent their life being a mom. So specific goals and plans, I don't, but I'm just really open to the idea that I'm being prepared for whatever's coming up, and I'm just going to dive in and do whatever that's going to be. But I have always felt really drawn to mothers, especially young mothers, and so maybe doing something to help them.
Miranda Lee asks about our kids. Since they're homeschooled, do they play sports or things like that? Yes, but it looks different. Like our kids participate. We've got one.
We don't play by the rules.
Yeah.
We don't use balls.
We always win. No, just we've got one kid who's very much into like Ninja Warrior stuff. So he's first he enrolled in the class and he liked it so much. He's now a coach at, so now he works, literally he works at the thing that he does as his sport. We've got kids that play instruments. We've got a drum set that doesn't get played very much. We've got pianos, we've got guitars, we have different musical things. So it doesn't look the same as if you were involved in it in at a school, like on a class level. Like in the band or in on a certain sports team, but we do versions of that. It just looks a little bit different.
Yeah, it looks more different here than it did in Utah. When we lived in Utah, they were involved in band and they were involved in plays and stuff like that because there were just more opportunities to do it there. Here, there's just not as many opportunities, and I'm kind of I'm a snob that I'm done by the time school lets out. I'm done for the day, and that's when a lot of the activities here are available, because that's when public school kids get out. I'm just like too tired, and I don't want to do it then. If it's not available during the day, I don't want to do it.
So when either of you have a rough day, what is your beverage of choice? I'd have to go with Mountain Dew on mine.
Yeah.
That's a good pickup. Jen, I'm going to speak for her. She has one called Russian Punch.
I know. I thought about making it tonight.
Ivan, I'm not sure if you can vouch for its authenticity or not, but it's made
It's
in
not Russian.
it's not Russian. It's got like orange juice and cloves and I have newt.
It's really good. Scott's
a
all
little bit of
nasty about it.
hazel. What else? What else do you put in it?
Not sugar. Quite often I will make it and take a drink and think, this is so much better when you put sugar in it.
It's a citrus drink, a hot citrus drink that she loves.
It's yummy.
No alcohol, just for the record.
No, in fact, I've had friends talk to me before and say, how do you homeschool 6 kids without drinking? I thought, I think maybe I don't try as hard as you guys do. I don't need alcohol at the end of the day. It's not that bad. We've
been married 23 years, have 6 kids. Karen, thank you very much. If you could have any job in the world, what would it be? This was someone asked this earlier, and I was thinking it over. And I remember we once had a foreign exchange student come over from Japan and live with us when I was growing up. And I asked him this question, or some version of this question, like what he wanted to be when he grew up. And he said he wants to be the guy that works at the lab, the science lab, where they work with corpses, like autopsies on people. And he wants to be the guy that just dunks them in the formaldehyde. I'm like, I didn't even know there was a job for that.
I'm not sure there is.
Now that I'm in the world of true crime, I'm thinking, there's probably something like that out there that somebody needs to do. But no, I have no desires to work with dead bodies at all. I think if I couldn't, well, obviously, if I wasn't doing this and I wasn't doing anything like IT or some of the stuff that I've done before, I would be interested in either being some sort of a investigator, like a insurance fraud investigator, catching the guys that are all the rates go through the roof. Or, a lawyer. I guess I'd probably want to do that. How about you, Miss Zari?
I really, truly love what I do every day. I love being a mom. I think if I had to do something else, I would really love to be a motivational speaker. But I don't want to be a shallow motivational speaker. I don't want to be like, hey, just try these couple of things and it'll make your life be better. I want to actually get down to the root of it and say, for real, you've got to change yourself from the inside out, and this is how you do it. And that's how you have real meaning and therefore satisfaction in your life. So I don't know if there's really, if that job exists. I don't know.
You're the motivational speakers that actually make people change. I mean, that's.
Yeah. Like Stephen Covey, he has a section in his book, 7 Habits, and he talks about how all motivational speakers are trying to affect the shell. You're trying to change the frosting on the cake. And he says, you really just got to get inside and change what is you, making you, and change the very core of who you are. And I think, he made a lot of money to do that. I could do that.
Speaking of changing the very core of what someone is, what's one of your pet peeves of what I do?
Sorry, guys, I don't talk bad about Scott.
I'll tell you.
You'll tell them. Okay.
I leave my socks on the floor, next to the bed. Like
all
I have to. It's like clothes, shirt, shorts, whatever it is I'm wearing.
Boots, ties.
Yes, everything. It goes right on. It's right next to the clothing basket. I mean, like inches from where they belong. And for a long time, I would put them there because I knew that in the morning, the magical laundry fairies would have taken care of it, and they would be in the basket where they went, and I didn't have to worry about it. I just found out, in the last couple weeks, that there's no such thing as a magical laundry fairy, and it's actually Jen who's been picking this up for all these years, and I found out because she decided to stop, and I was bewildered at why these fairies had not picked up my laundry where it went, and then I realized that I probably should do that myself. So
your suits are broken; they don't jump back onto their.
It's probably one of the pet peeves. Let's see. I just missed one here. What was? I mean, how hard is it to put the dirty clothes where they should go? I have no defense, Red Pen. All I can say is that for years. As long as it was close, it counted. It's like horseshoes. It was
And hand
fair
grenades.
enough. I get the point. But now we're playing golf rules and close to the All right. Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm missing a lot of comments. I wish we were on the other system because it's so much easier.
I know. I'm sorry. Mrs. R.A. Scott should have gone into radio. His voice is so smooth and he speaks so clearly. Okay, this is true. Can I tell you?
I have a face for radio. So
no, that is not what I was going to say. We have gone to just places together, and every time he speaks, not every time, but often when he speaks, the people will say, "Are you in a choir? And can you join mine?" And you just have this most amazing, soothing, fabulous voice. And he, as far as speaking clearly, the first time I met his family, honest to goodness, that's funny. Adam, I'm gonna think that every time I put this shirt on. That's awesome. It's been a rough day, Adam. It's been hard. Dang it, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I walked into his house and all of his family is speaking, and I thought they were punking me, right? Because they all have this excellent elocution. Their diction is just, they hit their D's and their T's and they shush. I mean, they were just so clear in how they spoke. And I thought, what are you guys doing? And it took me a while to realize that's just how they speak. They speak very, very clearly. And since I've met Scott, I've cleaned up my language. I used to blur my words a lot more.
Richard Foley says, are you and Mrs. R.A. friends with Dr. G and his wife? How did you meet him? Richard, I have not met Dr. G and his wife in person yet. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to do that. But I loved, I don't know, I think Red Pen introduced us over YouTube. She basically said, hey, you need to reach out to Dr. G. He'd come on your show and things. And so I reached out to him, and he's like the most amazing guy, super accommodating for my schedule. Whatever you need, what would you like? Yeah. I'd be happy to help.
So nice,
so smart. And just every time he's come on the show, it's just been absolutely amazing. And being able to celebrate his 100,000 subscribers since March.
I know.
March.
I know. That is amazing.
That is, if you look at how fast his channel is growing, percentage wise, I think it's growing faster than Mr. Beast's YouTube channel does. So,
really? Yeah, and I think what I love about Mr. G, just kidding, Dr. G, is that he's really humble. He's really accessible. Like, you can just ask questions, and he's not going to say, oh, you have to word it in such and such a way, or make it be all super smart, whatever. He's just really easy to talk to and really down to earth. Like, you can easily connect with him. I don't know. I've never actually spoken with him, but I feel like he's very easy to connect with because he's so easygoing and so gentle in his approach to every single conversation. And he likes Scott. So really, he's a great guy.
Mary Murphy says, will you ask Miss Beautiful what she thinks about all your boxes that you saved?
You guys are determined to make me talk bad here.
This is the perfect time for this conversation. Because today, as we're getting ready to go live, guess what? The iPad was at the wrong height for the countertop. So, Mrs. R.A., if you can just tell us really quickly, what is underneath the iPad?
We have all of this high-tech stuff and Frankenstein, everything, and we've got a box under the iPad to get it to the appropriate height.
I have just the right size box that we can use to lift the iPad up to be the right height for this live stream.
Scott and I are on opposite ends of the stuff continuum, that I really get rid of stuff. Like, typically it is not abnormal for me to say, pick it up or I'm throwing it away. And I do. Everything gets thrown away in the house. If you don't love it enough to put it away, it's garbage. And I'm just constantly cleaning out the house. And Scott loves stuff. He loves things. He likes to have stuff and he likes to see it. I'm trying to think of the name of the lady, the organizing lady, Butterfly and Ladybug. And so I can't think of her name, Clutterbug, maybe? But anyway, she has these different categories of how people organize stuff, and Scott is a very visual organizer. He wants to see it, to know where it is. And I'm a very, I don't want to see it. I want it to be a very bare surface. It is not pretty until it's clear. So we're different.
I have nearly a photographic memory, meaning that I remember things in pictures, in images. And so if there's an item, there's like, oh, I'm looking for this specific tool. It's
Library
like,
book.
well, I remember if I remember that tool, it was laying at this angle, it was next to this object, it was at this height, and then I can position and say, well, that would be this area of the house, and I can find it. But if you've taken that tool and you put it where it actually goes, I will have no clue where to look for it. So,
Gone forever, poof, magic.
Yeah.
That's funny because I don't think like that at all, but I can tell you where a word is on a page that I'll say, oh, I remember reading that. It was on the left-hand column at the top, and it's a continuation of the sentence from the previous page. So I remember words and how they lay out, which is why I hate Kindles. I just have such a hard time reading on any sort of an electronic device where it scrolls, because I've lost half of the information which helps me remember stuff. So, technology.
Yeah. I was going to read some stories. But I'm not sure if we've got time to do it. We've been on for over an hour, and I told you it would be half an hour to an hour tops. And
sorry.
And here I've gone over.
I got on, and I was like, I'm not gonna sit here and be a cabbage head. I'm going to contribute. We're going to do this thing. If I'm in, I'm in.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. We won't do the stories. There were some funny stories that were mostly husband-wife related.
Tell the stories. I'll just be quiet.
Okay, let me give me a second because I have to switch my screens over here.
Does it need to be a moment of silence?
Yes, you do.
Oh, future cabbage head. Yeah, actually, that is a term that what is her name? She's this gorgeous English actress, and she was on Parent Trap, and she was on I can't think of her name, but Pollyanna. And anyway, she would use that term to describe herself, that her dad also was an actor. He was the father. He played the father figure in Swiss Family Robinson, the original Disney version. And when she was in Pollyanna, she was acting. She was doing this scene with this preacher. And she just had, she was basically having to listen to him in the scene. That was the point of her character. But her dad came out to her after that first scene that she had acted. And he said, you know what you look like? And she was like, what? He goes, a cabbage. And she was like, oh, okay. And like, she totally understood that. And it's just her term for meaning, there's nothing happening on your face. You're not acting, you're not bringing anything here. You're just very flat affection. And so she did, affectation. And so she did a really good job after that, really bringing a lot more to her character. But that's where I've first heard that term, to have it. Haley Mills, yes.
Sorry, I'm like, why is everyone saying Haley Mills in chat?
Because they know more than me. That is who that is.
So I will share. How about this? I'll share a couple of there were some funny marriage-related tweets that were out there that were collected, and I'll share a couple of them. Here's one here. It says, "Marriage is finding the one person you dislike slightly less than anyone else and deciding to pay bills together." And that is funny. But if that is all you have, I think you're doing it wrong. This one says, my wife thinks she can add random items to my junk drawer. And I'm like, hello, there's an approval process. I have a junk drawer, and Mrs. Ora is not a big fan of that.
I clean it. I organize it for him.
This lady says, I don't do escape rooms. If I wanted to feel trapped and confused for an hour, I'd ask my husband to explain how Bitcoin works.
Oh, for real, Bitcoin. Okay.
Yeah, I get that way sometimes when I'm looking at new tech gear or something. I'm like, hey, this says H.265 encoding, and Jen gets this little glazed over look.
Cabbage.
Like, that's nice, dear. That's nice, dear. And she's very nice. She listens. She's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. It's all letters and numbers to me.
It is. It's all letters and numbers. And then he's like, oh, well, let me tell you, it's a 3,500 QRP. I'm like, in Cincinnati, I don't know what we're talking about.
Let's see. My marriage vows never said anything about removing a bevy of various sized pillows from the bed before laying down on it.
That was a guy. I guarantee a guy said that.
That might have been one of my tweets.
Hey, it is hard being pregnant. Sometimes you need a lot of pillows to make that possible. That sounded bad.
Let's see. Me following my husband from room to room, telling him everything I've just learned about penguins.
We totally do that. Hey, Scott, guess what I just read in the Federalist Papers? Guess what Thomas Jefferson said about this? Scott's like, please stop following me.
This person says, my wife's favorite spatula for, I don't know, 20 years broke on me this morning. Could I stay with you for just a couple days? Do you have a favorite cooking utensil?
My Bosch.
Your Bosch. Oh my goodness. The Bosch has been amazing.
It's awesome. I love it.
One of the few times I got the gift right, when
that was a lovely, lovely gift.
Jen likes to bake. She doesn't like to cook as much, but she likes to bake. And
this is true.
Bosch is a mixer. It's like a universal industrial strength kitchen mixer. A lot like KitchenAid, but more plastic and less metal.
Better. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. So
I like it.
When she makes that amazing bread, when she makes the banana bread, when she makes
when I make the bad bread, I use the Bosch for all of those.
Yeah, it's really good. All right. There, I read some funny bits for you guys. So we'll go. Good. All right. I want to say thank you to a lot of people, particularly. Let's see. Oh, we got that one already. Let's see. Selena said, Mrs. R.A. and Jen, you are pretty and radiate happiness.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Thanks to all the mods. Thanks to all of you, and mostly thanks to Jen for coming on here and being willing. She told me way up front. She said, the only way I'm going to do this is if you tell me exactly how this is going to go, because this is not what she does, right?
Yeah, this is not my thing.
You film a video, you edit it, you put it out. The lives are not what she does.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, it'll be fine. And she's like, hey, it's getting closer. I need the rundown. I need to know what are the questions, give me some idea how this is going to go. And about 10 minutes before the live, I gave her a couple little tiny questions. I'm like, maybe we could use these. And couple, that's two is a couple, all right?
2 minutes. It was 2 minutes before we went live.
We had to fix the tech gear. It wasn't working. Her mic was not working as much as she sounds a little echoey today. That was my fault. But anyway, she did come on and did a fantastic job, as you guys have all brought to her attention. Any questions you have to ask of her before we wrap up? And we'll make it quick here. Anything else? I think
that's it. Time's up, people.
I'm not sure what the delay is, so I have to wait for just a second. Parrot Court, thank you for being here. Does RA like to wing it?
Oh, it's all he does. He's like, something big happened. No problem. I'm going to be on live for 8 hours. Like, great. I'm going to spend 8 and come up with a half a decent 15-minute monologue.
When there's breaking news, I very often have hit the go live button before I have the source pulled up on any of my screens. I'm ready. I know where I'm looking for, or where I'm going to look for stuff. I know in my head, I've got an idea of how it's going to go. But as far as a script, as far as doing a dry run or, making sure something's lined up, it's just screw it. We'll do it live. So
the thing is, he did this with me. He had a responsibility for lining up speakers in church, and he didn't do it. And so, this was not a glorious moment in my life. He said, Jen, I don't have anybody to speak in an hour. Can you give like a 15-minute talk? And I thought, I've got a YouTube channel. I can totally screw it. We'll do it live, right? No, it was a disaster. It was a nightmare. And I'm actually a pretty good speaker if you give me some time to prep. But oh my goodness. So as this week kept going and he wasn't giving me anything to work with, I was like, do you remember that moment when you said, hey, I need you to do it today? And remember how that went? I need a rundown. So that's how that conversation went.
Auntie Candy, says, please mention the Food Mom Bowl site name again. Which one is that? The Food Mom Bowl site?
Bowl site. What's a Food Mom Bowl?
I don't know. We were talking about the
Laura Fuentes.
Laura Fuentes. Yes. Okay.
Mama Bowls. Oh, Mama Bowls. Oh, it's MOMABLES, like Mom Ables.
You guys couldn't see that, but she just spelled that in sign language off screen.
Yeah, that probably didn't help you at all. It's spelled MOMABLES. It's Mama Bowls. I think Red Pen. I sometimes struggle with this because I don't know, I'm insecure or something. I sometimes have a hard time being the woman who just always brings the food. Like, that's all I am. I'm the lady who cleans the house and barefoot pregnant in the kitchen, and I'm just like, oh, it's just not me. I hate that, but I do it because I love Scott, and that is not all that I am, but it is an important part of who I am, and I don't want him fainting. It would be really bad if he passed out on screen.
I'm just putting stuff on the screen so you can see. I think I amend that. If you actually watch the movie, I think it uses a little bit different language than I'm using, but
Does he?
a little bit harsher. Amanda says, just want to thank you both because I actually found Mrs. R.A. first searching for helping my son with dyslexia learn to read. It was by chance I found separately from my love for true crime.
Oh, that's funny.
That is wonderful. Mrs. R.A., if you don't know, she does have her own YouTube channel called Homeschooling Ground Zero.
Yeah, but let me just tell you, it's homeschooling. So if you're not interested in homeschooling, don't feel obligated to go over there and subscribe. My goal is not to grow. My goal is I want to help people who are actually interested in homeschooling. So if you are interested, by all means, come over. But don't feel like you have to just because you like Scott. If you like Scott, be here with Scott. That's awesome.
Kenny says, not relevant. Once I heard a member giving you their spouse's insulin money, I figured I should stick around. that was a fun evening. That was a lot of fun. All right.
So funny.
Tell you what, this has been a lot of fun, but I'm in another room and I'd like to be with my wife. So I'm going to wrap this up and say thank you all for being here. We missed Thomas. We're really looking forward to have him back next week.
Yes.
Miss Texas Tam says, y'all make me feel so good and hopeful. That is wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. We have big plans tomorrow. We've got a couple kids that are going to go serve at Mr. Beast's Philanthropy. And I think
you're going with them, aren't you? Or am I going with them? I'm
going though. I think I have to. I've filled out the disclosure thing. So
okay.
So we've got that. So early morning. Hopefully, you guys have a fantastic weekend. We have a big day in court on Monday. I think other than that, it's just you guys all get the week off. And if your boss thinks otherwise, send it to me.
It's Friday at 9 p.m. Take the week, guys.
We'll say hello to Jimmy for you guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate you, Jen. Love you. Thank you for coming on the channel. It's been a blast. We have to have you on here again sometime. That would be awesome.
Thanks. It was fun. See you guys.
Yeah.